Hello everyone, thank you for joining today's session. My name is Salman Sheikh. I'm working for BMC Software in the Premier Support team. Today's webinar topic is Email Best Practices and Troubleshooting in BMC Helix Business Workflows. Agenda of today's session is AR system mailbox configuration in AR system. After that we will see email profile in Innovation Studio. And then after that we will see email configuration in Business Workflow, email loops and troubleshooting. So first of all, in order to make this work, we have to do a mailbox configuration, and then after that we have to do the email profiles, and then we have to do an association between an email profile with line of business and then the email configuration. This is one of the most important configuration in the business workflow for emails. AR system mailbox configuration. So first in the demo, we will see how to create an incoming and outgoing email entry. So first I will log into AR system, and then once I log into the AR system with the user, I will open the form. The form name is AR system email mailbox configuration. So with interest of the time, what I have done is I have already created two mailbox. One is for incoming and the other one for outgoing. So I will just walk you through how this configuration is done. So here in this incoming configuration, you can see like I have provided the mailbox name, which is PWF HR incoming. Mailbox function is set to incoming, and then the status is enabled. In the basic configuration, you have to provide email server type, which is POP3. Then the polling interval is set to 1 minute. After that, the connection security is SSL. Email server name, you have to provide. Then email server port, email server user, and then email password. So if you are a SaaS customer, this configuration is taken care by the operations team. You just have to submit a request for the configuration, and then it is taken care by the operations team. But if you are the on-premises customer, then this can be controlled by you, by your operations team. In the advanced configuration, you have to set the associated mailbox name, which I have set it to the outgoing one, BWFHR outgoing. Then you have some additional configurations, which if required, you can configure it, such as action configuration and incoming security configuration. So after this, I will show you how to configure the outgoing mailbox. Yeah. So in the outgoing, again, the fields are almost same. You have to provide all these details. Just the email server type over here will change. Right now I'm using Gmail SMTP server. So I have selected SMTP in the email server type. Then again, polling interval is set to 1 minute. Connection security SSL. Then email server name, I have given smtp.gmail.com, and then the port is 465, that is the SSL port. Then email server user, this is the email user I have created in Gmail, and then the email server password. Then in the advanced configuration, you can associate the mailbox name. So now here for this one, I have selected BWF HR incoming. Default outgoing mailbox is set to no. If you're using only one outgoing, then you can set this as yes. Display name is set to HR support because this particular configuration I'm going to use for HR support. Then email address, I have given the email address which I have created for the HR line of business, and then the reply to address, again I have set the same. Delete outgoing notification message is set to no. Then default addressing, if required, you can set. So basically, if you have different line of businesses, you can create multiple outgoing entries over here in this particular form. But for incoming, it will be only one entry. For example, you have different line of businesses like HR, finance, facilities. Then you can include those in this particular configuration. So after creating an incoming and outgoing email entry, now we will see email profile. So basically, email profile, this configuration is done in Innovation Studio. So first of all, we will see how to create an email profile, and then we will see how to associate an email profile to a line of business. Okay, so now I will log into Innovation Studio. And after logging to Innovation Studio, I'll go to Administration tab. In the Administration tab, I will search for Profile. So here you can see I have already created two profiles, HR outgoing profile and facilities outgoing profile. So I'll just show you how that profile looks like. So when you're creating an email profile, these are the required fields: profile name, which I have given HR outgoing profile. Then the mailbox function is set to outgoing mailbox. Then mailbox, I have set it to BWF HR outgoing, which I just showed you. So this configuration comes from the AR system mailbox configuration form. So as you can see, there were three outgoing mailbox configured. So all those three are listed over here. In the application, we are not giving any application since we don't want to restrict this configuration to one of the application. Similarly, you can configure email profiles for facilities, outgoing profile as well. Okay. Now, after creating the email profile, you have to create an association between your email profile and line of business. So for that, you have to log into the business workflow. So after logging into the business workflow, you can go to the settings tab over here. In the settings tab, you have to search for the line of business. Okay, so in this particular exercise, we will see line of business for HR. So I'll just select HR over here. So all the LOB settings for HR is shown over here. So as you can see, the status of this LOB is active. And then in the below section, you have outgoing email profile settings. If you want to use specific email profile for all your outgoing emails for this line of business, you can select the default email profile. You can also create a custom process to define an outgoing email profile in specific conditions. For example, in Apex Global, for HR related cases created for external users, the outgoing email is sent from external HR queries @apexglobal.com. You can use the custom outgoing email profile along with the default email profile. Now here I have selected default email profile, which is set to HR outgoing profile. So this comes from the Innovation Studio. As we saw three profiles created over there, right? So all those three are shown over here. So we are not using custom process for email profile. So nothing is selected over here. So after associating an email profile to a line of business, we will see email configuration in business workflow. So I'll show you a demo how to create an email configuration. Okay. Now again you have to go to business workflow settings tab, and then after that you have to search for configuration here. So under email you will see this configuration. So you have to open that configuration. So right now again I'm into the line of business human resource. So I have already created one email configuration, so which I'll show you. So line of business is HR, then company is global. So you cannot edit this company. It is always set to global. Then in the email IDs, this is the email I have created for HR. So that I have selected over here. Then in the incoming mailbox name, BWF HR incoming is selected. After that, in the description, I have given HR email configuration. You can set accordingly the description. Then default case template to use is selected none. But if you want, you can use any of the case template to use over here. Also, you can customize this case template and use in this particular configuration. Then after that, email custom process. So right now in this particular demo, we are not using email custom process, or else you can also create the process, or you can use the existing one from this particular list. Then the status of this particular configuration is set to active. After that, we have 4 tabs below this configuration: exclusion subjects, acknowledgement templates, trusted email, and blocked email. So exclusion subjects, we have 19 exclusion subjects given out of the box. So what that means, so whenever a user sends an email to the business workflow with this particular subject line, then it will not create a case in the business workflow. If you want, you can add or customize this exclusion subjects. Like you can just go to this exclusion subject, give any subject of your choice. For example, I'll give inner training, and I will just save this particular configuration. Okay. In the demo part, I'll show you like what this particular exclusion subject will do. After that, in the acknowledgement templates, you have this template which can be used to send an acknowledgement email for a given operation type and ticket status. So for example, if the case is created, it will use this particular template, case create acknowledge template. So similarly for update, it will update acknowledgement template. Then after that, in the trusted email, so here you can see I have already added a trusted email. Similarly, you can add more trusted email, or you can also add a domain instead of one single email. So basically this configuration is used when the user is external. So what it does is whenever an external user creates a case and sends an email, and if you want to create a case, then in that case you can add that particular email ID over here in this particular configuration. So similarly for blocked email, we can add the email IDs or the domain from creating cases. So basically you can add any email ID if you don't want cases to be created from that particular email ID. So now after the email configuration, now we will check whether this incoming and outgoing is working fine. So I will just send one test email to this particular HR line of business. Please create a case for me in business workflows. And I'll give some words in this particular body section, and then I will just send the email. So after sending the email, I'll go back to the business workflow, and then after that I will go to the workspace tab under case, and then I will just wait for the case to be created here in this business workflow. Okay, so here you can see the case has been created now in business workflow. So I will just open this case, and you can see this is the case we created. So it will create a case with this particular requester. It has been mapped. Okay. Now this confirms that the incoming mailbox is working fine. So what I'll do now, I will send back an email, so which will confirm that the outgoing is also working fine. So I will reply back to the same email that the case has been created in business workflow. So after waiting for a few seconds, you can see I have received an email from HR support saying that the case has been created in business workflows. I have showed you in the AR system mailbox configuration the display name, right? So here you can see with that display name, this email has received from business workflow. So this indicates that the incoming and outgoing mailbox is working fine. Now next we will look about the email loops. So the following image shows an example of an email loop. So basically whenever an email is triggered 15 times within 10 minutes to business workflow, then the email loop is detected. So a notification is sent to an administrator and the sender is blocked. If that email is legitimate email, then the administrator remove that particular person from the block list. So now I will show you how to set the time interval and email threshold for email loops. So in the settings of business workflow, you have to look for application configuration. Under application configuration, there is a configuration called as common configurations. So here in the common configurations, global company is selected default. So here in this configuration, you can see there are two parameters: email loop time interval in minutes and email loop number of emails threshold. So for testing purpose, I have earlier used this minutes as 2 and the threshold I have used as 5. But out of the box, this configuration is set to 10 minutes and 10 emails. So now after email loops, now we are going to look at tracking and reprocessing incoming emails. So the following image shows the incoming email messages console. So whenever an incoming email messages are received, so all those are tracked over here in this particular screen. So you can see there are different columns over here. Display ID, which is nothing but a unique ID. Then we have created date. Then we have the from address from where the email has been sent. To address will be the address where that email has been sent to. Then in the subject we have the email subject. After that we have a status. So status reason can new, rejected or success. Then in the status reason we have different status reason like email received, ticket created, exclusion, etc. So after that, now I'm going to show how you can reprocess unsuccessful emails. So as a case business analyst, you can check the incoming email messages console and you can reprocess those unsuccessful emails. So right now I'm into my Gmail. So I will send one email to this particular HR support email ID. This email is not in a trusted domain. So this is my subject line, and in the body I can give anything here. Then I'll just click on send over here. So after sending that email, I am again back to the business workflow settings. So now I'll check this incoming email messages. I'll remove this filter and I'll just wait for that email to come here in this particular console. Okay, so after waiting for a few seconds, I see that the entry over here, you can see the subject line which says this email is not in a trusted domain, and you can see the status as rejected, and you have the status reason as not in trusted domain. So now what I'll see, I'll go to the configuration, and in the configuration for this particular line of business, right, I will go into this trusted email and I will add that email ID. You can also add a domain instead of one ID over here. So I will map to one of the requester. So here I'll use my user, which is there in the business workflow, and I'll just save this. So after this, I will go back to incoming email messages, and now this particular rejected entry, right, I will select and I'll click on reprocess emails. So after clicking on reprocess emails, I will go back, I'll remove this filter, and then what I'll see over here is that particular email has been successfully processed. As you can see, the status is success and the status reason is create ticket. I'll show you in the workspace case tab. This particular case has been created. So you can see here, this email is not in a trusted domain. That was the summary. So it has created a case. So this way you can use that incoming email messages console to check and correct, reprocess the emails. So I'll go back. So earlier in the demo you have seen I have added one exclusion subject in a training. So whenever there is an email with this subject line, so I want that case is not created. So I'll just send one email with this subject line in a training, and let's see what happens after that. Okay, so I'm writing in a subject in a training, please don't email me. Okay, and then I'll just click on send. So the email has been sent. Now I'll come back to this console, which is incoming email messages. I'll remove this filter again and wait for a few seconds so that you can see what happens with that particular email which we just sent. Okay, so after waiting for a few seconds, you can see that this particular email has been rejected with the status reason as subject exclusion. In a training, please don't email me, right? So if you want, you can use this subject exclusion as well. Again, I'll go back to this configuration and I will remove that particular exclusion subject. Okay. Now again, I'll go back to incoming email messages and I will process this email. So after doing that, you can see that the email has been processed and you see a status as success and the status reason as create ticket. So this way you can use this particular console and process the failure emails. Summary. So in today's session, we have seen AR system mailbox configuration. Then we saw email profile in Innovation Studio. After that, we saw email configuration in business workflows, email loops, and then tracking and reprocessing incoming emails. So I have shared some references document link over here. You can go through that in order to configure the email in business workflow. Thank you. Thank you for joining today's session. Please subscribe to our Helix ITSM and Discovery channel.